Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. The JAMODI podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products. Culture is a buzzword. It's thrown around a ton, but it's basically how you show up. And like Porter Moser said, it's every day. Culture's every day. So how does it drive performance, and what are some of your favorite culture building activities?
Yeah. Everybody talks about culture these days, and I don't know, there's a part of me that almost wants to just find a new word, because it's become such this.
I like standards. I like you saying standards more, like our standards of excellence, standards of not. The words being used a lot.
Yeah. And it's just kind of the idea of who we're going to be. Yep. We did something within that we call our B list. We tried this year. That was more of an individual thing. But I really love this, and I guess jumping ahead on this one to say, and this was something we did that I thought was really good. So we did this thing where a B list, BE, not BE like buzz. It's going to sting you. So our B list. And so we did this on kind of our team retreat, and we got these giant sticky note things, we're the giant ones. And so we could put them up on the wall for each guy, and each guy took a marker and was going to write. First, they're going to write, all right, what are 6 words that describe yourself when you're at your best? And so you're thinking about, man, these are me when I'm at my absolute best. Then we said, all right, what's one word that from your own perspective that you would say, if you were going to fill in the blank here, life in general would go better for me if I was more blank, fill that in. So what's that word? So something you just like, I want to be more of. I know this would make things better for me. And then this one fit us, being in a Christian school, especially too, I really like this one. We did one more, was one word, thinking more from God's perspective, that God's just saying like, hey, I want to bless you more than what I'm doing right now. And this isn't about like, let's get all, what can we get from God? This is about, how
prosperity
can God,
gospel at John Brown.
This is not that. This is just saying, hey, God's gifted us in certain ways, and how can we use those better to bring him glory? And so if we're going to say from God's perspective, hey, I want to be able to bless you and use you in some other ways, more than maybe you've imagined. And I would, if you were more blank. And so it gets you a little bit of some forward thinking. It gets you focusing on, these are who I am at my best. And these are some things maybe that I'm not, that I want to be better at.
Yeah.
And so we did that to, talked about TJ saying, talk about self-awareness and how important that is. And it's just, I think that's everything these days is aware. I think that's a big part of culture, is just that awareness. And so we took that, and then we took it a step further, and gave them about 10 minutes. And we said, all right, walk around the room to your teammates' B lists on the wall, add words on the side that these are also things that you see in them too. And man, to learn to speak that kind of life into other people. We talk about, if you ever read the book, How Full Is Your Bucket, was one we did about a decade ago. And we've done a lot of things we call bucket cards that we've done for years with our guys. And this was kind of a way of filling buckets, speaking that life into each other. And I think those are things that build culture. And being able to recognize the good in other people without being threatened by it. That's the sign of a healthy culture. Because we're all competitive, and it doesn't mean that you and Matt, you and I could be on the same team, and we're not going to battle every day. And, you're going to just run and drive and jump into me to do your famous layups, and I'm going to then try it against you, and I'm going to get hurt like I did every time I tried to emulate you. Because I don't have that shoulder or your girth and your strength.
I'll edit that out.
But man, I would put that on your B list, because it's just, that's something I'd speak into for you. Maybe not girth
and strength. Thanks, man.
But
let me ask you this. What do you, so that's such an awesome activity, and something that I think every team should do. I think my guys should do it. And how do you go from that just being an activity that you do? How do you take that and you kind of allow it to live on or carry on past that? Is there anything else you do with those, the sheets, the words, anything like that?
What a great question. Um, so we've got a guy that volunteers with us that's a character coach for us. Kind of a newer thing through a group called Nations of Coaches. In place of calling like chaplains, this is something you can get in at any university, whether you're Christian school or not. And so in this guy, Scott Shaw, has been around for the last 4 years, has been more impactful than me, or anything else, I think, in our program, in the guys' lives, because he's just there. And he's here for the guys, and loves on them, and is a voice and encouragement outside of basketball, that just is there to encourage and be with them. And so what we did through this is he took these B lists that we created, and we had them put into kind of a smaller sheet, let's say an 8 by 11 type sheet, laminated it. But we picked out, he kind of picked out one word for each of them that was kind of their big word of this is, of something that represents them, and then came up with a Bible verse for each guy that kind of describes them. And it was laminated, put on each guy's locker.
Wow.
And so it was there all year to go back to and have as a reminder. And so I thought that was really good, just as something to have in front of us. I think that's something that guys will hold on to. And again, you speak life into people, and that stays with people. Those are the things you don't know the impact that makes, sometimes ever, but sometimes not until years later. It was kind of like mentioning, one of my players from, I think, year 2 here for me. And we didn't leave on the greatest of terms, when he left. And then a couple of years ago, I get he's playing professional ball, and he sends me this picture of a 3x5 card, was one of our bucket cards, and a encouraging thing I'd written to him that he still had. And just trying to say he appreciated it. And those are things. So you don't know the impact we're making. And sometimes it feels like we're just throwing a whole bunch of things at a wall and hoping things stick. And sometimes that's what we're doing, because we care that much, and we just want something to stick, and we want to make some impact.
Yeah. But to go back to even habits or rhythms, or workouts, like you said at the beginning, it doesn't matter that you're just throwing a bunch out there and some stick, but you'll find out the ones that you really want to do. But how many guys just aren't even throwing stuff on the wall? Like, I'd rather be throwing a lot on the wall and seeing what sticks always than not doing it, because I think the risk of not doing these activities, building culture, speaking in your lives, is, man, you're missing out on opportunities.
Yeah, I agree.
I want you to talk a little bit about, because part of culture is the traditions that your program has. Like, to me at Faith, since these kids, for the most part, almost like a college, they did not go to, they don't live by each other. Most of them came in either junior high or high school, so they don't have these deep bonds that go way back to when they were little. So we have to create traditions and things that are important from year to year. Talk a little bit about one of the coolest traditions that I've seen, which is the toilet paper game.
Love it, man. You almost need a link in this to on our website.
I will put it in the show notes. I will.
It's awesome. Talk about one of the coolest traditions in college basketball. So for over 35 years, we've had this tradition. There's some other schools that now do it,
but they're copying you.
I don't hate on it, because it's an awesome tradition, man. Like, go experience it. If you can do it, they're not going to do it like JBU. I'll tell you that. It's one of those things where, so the first game of every season at home, our community, our campus, everybody's out. We pack out the gym. Sometimes you got people dressing up. A lot of times it's around Halloween. So now and then you get people dressing up more, or you get someone in a giant, like, paper mache toilet paper roll. We've been sponsored before, by like Charmin or Scott's, all these things.
That's the
like that
sponsor
around
that you
here.
want right there for your program.
we had ESPN's been in here and done stuff. They came in my first or second year, put cameras all over the place to do it. It's been on, if you follow some of the stuff on our website and look at some of the things they put together. I mean, we've been on USA Today.
Well, I feel like it's on Sports Center every year. Every year that you do it, it shows up. Yeah.
They call it the greatest technical in college basketball. And so, you look at that, it's up there with some of the great traditions, like Silent Night is another huge one that Taylor University does. That's so cool. So our first made basket of the year, then everyone throws the roll of toilet paper and it's just hysteria, and the kids come running out onto the floor and they're diving around. It's 2 or 3 minutes at least of that before everything starts to get cleaned up. I mean, it's such a cool thing. And now my first year here at JBU, I think it took us 5 or 6 game minutes before we scored a bucket. And so everyone's just like, ready to throw it. And we can't score. And I'm like, when is this going to happen? We just need to get it done. But it is such a cool thing. And I'll tell you this, because we're speaking about culture and tradition anyways, this just speaks so highly of our guys within our program and the love that they have for each other. And I think this especially grows out of, as I mentioned, it's 7 guys within the group that had been there for 4, 5, or 6 years. You get to the TP game and it's like you're right of as a starter, man, I've earned this. This is a pretty special event that I get to go in there and be a starter for, and this huge crowd and be on the floor and all this. So separately, these guys did not even talk about this. We had 2 guys that were both returning All-Americans, one a 5th-year guy, one a 4th-year guy this year, came to me the day before the toilet paper game and said, "Coach, I want one of my teammates who's also like a senior who doesn't normally start. I want him to start in my place for this game." 2 guys, 2 of our All-Americans did this. I mean, those are like the Rudy moments of the guy setting my jersey on the desk of the coach and saying, I want him to have my spot. I mean, how awesome is that? And so instead you just get a chance to see these guys get to go experience that. That's cool. I think that just speaks highly to our guys. I mean, just speaks so highly of the love that they have developed for each other over our time here. And hopefully that's somewhat as a result of some of the things we're trying to put into place to help grow that. But man, as a coach, that's just exciting to see.
If they did a movie on the TP game, who would in that moment, who would play you?
Oh goodness, who would play me?
I don't know why don't take this the wrong way. Tom Cruise just popped in my head.
Tom Cruise has some nice hair.
Well, but I mean, they can shave it, Mine's moving back farther and farther. That's really good.
You know who people used to say I looked like back in the day was Kevin Bacon. I didn't know if to take that as a good way or a bad way, but some people used to say Kevin Bacon, which always made me laugh because Coach Mills had that hilarious Kevin Bacon story, that he's like, "Get off my cape," that old story of his, where he's about to go to blows with him. But so I don't know if it's Kevin Bacon or who, someone bald and beautiful.
That's right.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.